Ah, the noble Spaniard, such a noble history. Noble and bright, definitely no slavery or extortion or human exploitation in their history, right? The Spanish have a unique start in Victoria 3, and I usually take them just one way in my time of playing them. While they can look on the outside as a relatively unremarkable nation with not much prospects anymore, because most of the colonies have by this point become independent, and South America really doesn't hold much allegiance to them. Only Cuba and Puerto Rico really hold some allegiance to them still, but there is a clever loophole. If you exploit it correctly, you can get into Morocco and then down into Africa, where all those unrecognized powers are that you can just colonize and gobble up. So this is my guide on how I play Spain. Everyone can play Spain differently. Some people try to form Iberia by capturing Portugal. Some people turn their attention to the Americas, reconquering it. Some people just focus on Spain itself and trying to build it up as a military power and attack France. A cheeky loophole to go down south into Africa and take all that juicy land and resources for yourself. So if you like this video, remember to leave a like, comment down below, chuck me your sub, tell me how you play Spain. I want to hear different perspectives, because I usually just end up playing this way, the expansionist Spain, not really worrying about my populace, just expanding into Africa and taking more and more land. So let's get right into the guide, and I'll show you how I play Spain, Strat fans.
And here we see Spain with Isabel de Bourbon. Her famous childlike essence seeps into all cracks of the Spanish gameplay. So the Spanish reads as follows: the young Queen Isabella rules a divided Spain with liberal and conservative factions at each other's throats. Will the Queen be a mere puppet in the struggle, or will she take a more active role? And that's up to you and to us. So Spain starts with a meager GDP, about 12th in the world, a monarchy, they're Catholic, their culture is Spanish, they don't have a taboo or an obsession, which is good. They have a good amount of arable land, 512. Their population is okay, 13th worldwide. Their literacy is pretty bad, and they're kind of struggling right now with their standard of living. Navy and battalions are not doing so hard. Spain is a major power, but not one of the top dogs. It's still at number 8. But what Spain does have is an opportunity. Spain is not like France, where you're landlocked and really your only opportunities are like expansion through your colonies over here. Spain has a very unique opportunity for Africa. See, if we look down here, Morocco, an unrecognized regional power, is sitting here on gold mines here and here. And they do also have all these other unrecognized areas that's just a bunch of land open for grabs for colonial powers. And then down here, you only have to really deal with France and Portugal with their shenanigans down here. But other than that, all these other African nations are very minor and can easily be beaten because they don't really start with any allegiance to the Ottomans or Egypt, which these are the powers you gotta look out for, like Tripoli, Egypt. They actually have a decent military and they can unite against you if they want to keep you from expanding. But once you get through Morocco, you're pretty much just open to all this land down here. Now, it's not great land, but it is land. So let's get started and I'll show you how the Spanish start is. So here we are in the Spanish zone. I do love the terrain of Spain. We start with a decent amount of treasury. It's not too bad. And we have a good amount of authority too, so we can enact a lot of things. But the first issue we have to contend with is our unacceptable government. What does that mean? That means little Isabella here, she is not really liked by the common folk. She's liked by the divine, but she's not really liked by even her own party. And right now, without having the landowners, the largest party in here, we have an unacceptable government, which is getting us a whole bunch of debuffs that we have to reform right away. So we could just slap them in here, which would give us a contested government. If we get the intelligentsia out, we'll get a lot of radicals because the intelligentsia is the ruling party and they're not in the government, but we do get a legitimate government. I usually go for the contested just for now until we can bolster the intelligentsia up above certain groups, and then it'll become legitimate after we enact landed voting and all that. So that's what I usually do, is I will get the option to have the intelligentsia still in the party, because you want them to be able to convert Spain and then have the landowners and the Catholic Church, who are really the leading interest group, even though they aren't the most powerful. That way you're contested, you only have just a 1-1 opposition interest approval, so like you're not suffering from enactment time radicals and all that crap. Now we turn to laws, and the first law I usually go for is landed voting. Like I said before, landed voting will increase the political strength of the landowners, but the wealth voting will unlock women's suffrage and all that, so it does help. And the landowners endorse it, the intelligentsia endorses it, everyone endorses it, even the trade unions, which are marginalized, so they all endorse it, so it's really good to go for. So that's great. So that'd be good to start with, because that'll help sway a lot of loyalists to your cause, so you don't have have to worry about that many populists. As for the second, low organizations, all you got to do is just recruit a general. Try to get one of an interest group that you like. Look for the interest group, look for their traits. Arrogant here. As a ruler, he's minus 10 legitimacy. Charismatic, he's pretty good. Morale recovery, that's really good. So I'll probably get this guy. And then the Armada needs one as well. Persistent, yeah, he's good. And then disappearing interests for the Congo, we have to act down here first, but it's okay because we're not going to be reaching the Congo down here anytime soon. But North Africa is definitely a declared interest. Yeah, we're definitely going to declare probably Senegal too. Now we could declare over here, but the thing is, Haiti we could try to take, but I think they actually have, no, they don't have diplomacy. Okay, so that's another option, but they don't really have that good of resources to go for. I mean, they have dyes, which is great. They have a lot of arable land, but down here is something even better. If we can reach all the way down here, we get open. And these countries usually stick around for a while because France is too focused on themselves. Speaking of France, we're going to use this huge amount of diplomatic power to become friends. Easier to become friends with France than Britain, but these two powers are going to be instrumental in us battling the Ottomans and the Egyptians to take down here. They don't have to be our friends forever, but we do have to maintain friends until we can build a better empire, because the Spanish Empire has seen better days. But we do have this little sliver of Morocco, and we want more, because if we go into Morocco, we have 3 gold mines that we can get, and just gives us free money. We have a lot of iron and lead in there as well, and in this area, they have a good amount of industry already started. They have some sulfur. They have a lot of arable land. Morocco, if we can incorporate that into Spain, it'd be great. One day we'll get Gibraltar back. Not like the Brits can do anything with the rock. That's pretty much what we're going to do. Increase our relations with them. We could also increase with Portugal because they do owe us an obligation. So we can use that obligation to get them to join our war for Morocco. Because as soon as we get Morocco, then we could just colonize these. No one's going to say anything if we colonize these. We just have to beat Morocco, which, judging by their battalions, wouldn't be hard. They don't have any strong ties with other nations. But if we go to attack them, there are some nations that could jump in. These nations. It's not a guarantee that they will, but we don't want to see what will happen if they do, because they do outnumber us vastly if they do join. We could try to sway them not to, but again, if we can get these 2 big players, because they're both at least 200 of it, onto our side, it would even the odds if the other ones joined. Because the other big ones would be the Ottomans that could join, because this is one of their declared interests over here. But again, I don't think the Ottomans would join, and whenever I declare, they don't really join. But just to be safe, having good relations with these 2 will help us, and even having a defensive pack or an alliance or something will help you even more, because then they'll have to join. You know, they can't abstain. Portugal, they don't have a lot to offer, 10 battalions, but it's something. They have some flotillas. It's mostly battalions that we're going to be looking for, though. So now that we've discussed the diplomacy, now we're going to move on to the standard of living, one of the biggest challenges and headache-inducing moments of Victoria 3. So let's look at our budget. We start with a consumption tax on liquor. Well, thankfully, our population doesn't have liquor as a major expense. They have furniture, clothes, and grain. Now, because of that, we can look in here and we'll see liquor is 3.1% of their budget. So it's not that bad to have a consumption tax on them. Gives us a good amount of free and tobaccos on there too. That gives us a lot more. We could add more, but we do not want to do these 3. And I really wouldn't do services either, but luxury clothes, meat, I usually will do luxury clothes because that's really low on the struggling standard of living. And the prosperous folks can deal with that. Luxury furniture would be a better one. Actually, I'm going to remove this and change it with luxury furniture, even though it doesn't give us as much. That's up to you. In my previous playthrough, I could get away with doing luxury clothes. It gives us a nice boost. Now we're going to look at our buildings. You'll want to carefully look for places that will have the qualifications for your construction sectors, because you want them to be staffed immediately. So like here, Andalusia, you don't want them there. You want them, ideally, one with the lowest upkeep as well, like Navarra here. We'll put 1, and we'll put 1 in Galicia as well, because they're going to have the lowest amount of upkeep. And then those 2 would be built first, and then we're going to look to our rural sector, and we need to make more grain. So we could focus on a single crop, which will give us a lot more grain, less fruit, less sugar, and that's going to be good, because then we're going to be able to increase our grain and not worry about the other 2, because we can make fruit, we can make sugar in our plantations, and the fruit in our orchards. Harvesting tools would be good, but we don't have enough tools yet. You might notice something about the Spanish economy. Laborers or slaves Oh boy. So the Spanish still use slaves. They are backwards. But anyway, we don't have enough input goods of tools to switch to butchering tools, but once we will, we'll be able to get more meat, at least double our meat production. But for now, livestock ranches will just stay default. For the rice farms, we can keep it fig or maintain single. To be honest, I don't see that much of an improvement. I mean, yeah, there's an improvement for the substitution, you get more money, but I mean, the fruit and the sugar can be profitable. The sugar is really, really low, so we have a lot of it. So it would actually make sense to go to a single crop for the rice farms for now. Don't have to touch anything for the mines. We do have 4 gold mines, all in Australis, right up here. Those are our gold mines. Gives us free money. We have coffee plantations. Don't have to worry about changing any of those things. The logging camps. For the sawmills, we keep that. We don't have to worry about it. We could change it down, but we'd lose a lot of power. So now we go to the softwood production or hardwood. You want to keep a few hardwood. Like we have 1 set to hardwood right now, and that's going to give us a good amount of hardwood. We don't want to change that one, especially not that one. I usually do 1 or 2, change the hardwood, keep them dispersed so that you can make some hardwood while also keeping the softwood because you're going to need that. For the fishing wharves, we could change this, but we'll make a little bit less because we're going to have more clippers for that, which is going to cost a lot more. As you can see the clippers, they're going to increase in cost. So right now, to keep the clippers down until we have more in our market, we're going to keep it on simple fishing, which just gives us raw fish. So that does it for the rural. And then we go to urban. Don't have to change sweeteners. We'll do just fine. We make enough sugar to make it pot stills. Do just fine. Textile mills. We don't have enough for all to be craftsmen. We could switch it here, which would increase the price of luxury clothes and increase the price of fabric as well, which is going to go up. So I usually keep it. That way I have a few that are craftsmen and they keep the prices kind of good. We'll prioritize non-luxury furniture for our furniture, and then pretty much everything else is going to be fine for now. You want to be careful when switching. You want to make sure that you're ready when you switch a production. But now we go to actually building buildings. So the wheat farms we're going to build first, and now it's going to say not enough qualifications because again we have a lot of peasants we got to staff. So we have an infrastructure imbalance here in Toledo, even though we have 6. So because of that, I am going to build in Western Andalusia because it's the second best, and we're going to build up to 8, so we have 10, so we can have the biggest bonus. All right, and then we're going to go to livestock ranches, do the same, look for the best. Catalonia has a nice amount. I'm gonna go to 10 Catalonia, and then for resources, I'll look for logging camps. Again, Toledo, infrastructure imbalance. So Andalusia has the biggest, but Eastern Andalusia is actually okay because it has a lot more. So we're going to do 4 in Eastern Andalusia. Could also do with some iron mines, queue up some iron mines. Navarra, do with some. Just a few, just a few. Now we go to industry, and we're going to do some paper. Let's go, I wonder, Castile, yeah, Castile. Let's build a couple in Castile. And we also need a tooling workshop. Need them built. Navarra would be good because they already have a tooling workshop. So we'll build a few there. Actually, we need to remove that one. So let's remove. We just need up to 5. All right, that tooling workshop's going to allow us to expand. We're going to wait until we can build some more shipyards, get some more fabric and all that before we can increase our clippers, and then we can get more fish. So right now our balance is looking okay though, so we're going to hold back on the production because we have quite a bit queued. Now we'll look to our decrees. We're going to space these decrees out based on what we're building. That way we can increase the throughput of each one. So Toledo right now, we're going to keep it away because we have to work on the infrastructure. That might mean removing a few buildings. That might mean scaling back a little bit. So right now this is -6. If I scale this back 1, that could cause a shortage. I think this uses it as well, but we need the bureaucracy. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to scale back my furniture factory. Scale it back just a little bit to increase the infrastructure. That way we don't have an infrastructure problem. You gotta try to balance. That's why having auto build can be good. Like this automatic expansion can be good, but it can also be bad if you run out of infrastructure. If you have a lot to spare, then that's good. But if you don't, then it could be bad. Yeah, let's look at our buildings before we do our decrees. See what's being developed. So Andalusia, we have our wheat farms. So we're going to make agricultural in Western Andalusia. And then we have Catalonia, going to be our livestock ranches. Again, Catalonia. We have 3 more to choose from. Eastern Andalusia is going to have our logging camps. Navarra is going to have our iron mines and tooling workshops in Navarra as well. So Navarra, I'm actually going to give our manufacturing industries a boost, get more tooling workshops, and then our resource industry is going to be in Eastern Andalusia. And then we have 100 more to spare, so we might as well get this one in Castile so we can get more as well. And then we can focus on building up our different industries in those ones, because those are the biggest states for it. They have the most infrastructure available, so we can build up more in those states. Now, to deal with our population being lower standard of living on all these areas, what we can do is we can incorporate them, which would use a lot of bureaucracy. Could also build on them as well. So we look at here, we see, oh, okay, we can build some livestock ranches, build some rice farms, maybe build a couple scars, and then we'll see if they have any industries that can be qualified. They have furniture factories, glassworks, which will be very profitable, textile mills will be good profit as well. So we'll do that, and we'll do furniture. There, Puerto Rico will be dealt with once we get that built. Manila next. We can do a coal mine, which would really help us. That. They don't have enough for that one or that one. Sometimes you just kind of got to weigh the risk, though. So I'm going to weigh the risk, and we'll do a vineyard as well. Let's see if they have any industries that can be built with enough qualifications. Does not look like it. Sometimes that could also mean not enough people. So I'm going to actually build the glassworks, because they will make a profit even with not enough people to garrison it, and a food industry. Then we'll go to the Canary Islands, make a profit. Vineyard and a sugar plantation. Okay, and let's see what we got. We'll be able to staff that fully, and we'll be able to make some money with glassworks, even if it's not going to be fully staffed. And there we go. Now we have a lot of construction used. We're kind of negative, but not too bad. And that should fix most of the problems. Toledo should be fixed soon as well. And we can also try to temporarily solve this by importing from the Swedish market. That should help solve that problem. So that's basically how I start. That was my first year. I'm going to go into the technology next, and we'll see what technology Spain benefits from. All right, so Spain starts at a very basic level of technology. Their society is pretty standard. They actually are kind of backwards in production. They have a lot of production techs not unlocked that most nations do have. Military is pretty poor too. They're just unlocking Napoleonic warfare. They don't even have paddle steamer. Their society is okay, but again, they're not unlocking a lot of stuff right now. For me, I usually focus on military because, again, my strategy for them is to conquer Morocco. That way I can get on to making an empire. So general staff I'll go for to get the skirmish infantry, which are superior to line infantry. Backroom dealings exposed. Oh, God. Just decrease our bureaucracy, I guess. But anyway, that's usually what I choose for technology. I'll go general staff first, and then for military, I mean, I'm already going to research Napoleonic warfare as well. I will also go percussion cap so I can get munition plants. But after that, the military is going to take a back seat, and I'm going to go switch to production, do the intensive agriculture, the lathe, the atmospheric engine, which helps us for our mines. And then we go to society, we'll get banking, modern sewage, central archives, pharmaceuticals, and then just kind of go down here and try to get nationalism and pan-nationalism, human rights, all that good stuff. So that's the basic technologies that I go with. First, I focus on military. That way we can conquer Morocco and start building our empire down here. And then focus on economy so we can build up our Spanish economy and get us funding. And then we'll go into like the more political aspect of it. So that's pretty much all the technology side. All right, next up we have the politics. So I've already gone over at least one of the laws we have. So wealth voting, any type of voting law is going to be a great one to go for, no matter who you're playing. So if you get a voting law, you're going to get a lot of support for the government because, you know, you're kind of free at that point. I mean, it's still a monarchy, which gives you a lot of authority and legitimacy, but having a nice voting law helps. After that, I usually will turn to either internal security, like home affairs, trade policy, economic system. Colonial affairs helps a lot, especially for what we're going to be doing. And also, Spain has a pretty good education system and hospital system as well. They start with charity hospitals is not great, but it's not that bad either. Censorship is okay. At least it's not outlawed dissent, but censorship is okay. And there's not much we can do to change it. Workers' rights, at this point, we're going to have to wait a little bit before we can get that. Child labor, again, we're going to have to wait. Slavery, we have legacy slavery right now. We're going to have to wait until we can get up to slave trade, debt slavery, slavery ban. Migration controls, the rights of women, we're going to be able to start by having wealth voting. We'll be able to get up to property women, but eventually, to get women's suffrage, we have to work all the way through the tree. Land-based taxation, we're going to have to immediately, as soon as you can, go to per capita, and then just start going down so you can get more taxation. Tenant farmers is not great, so homesteading I would want to go for, even though it increases your political strength of the farmers. It helps them out a lot. Interventionalism is okay, but eventually I go for laissez-faire if I can. That would be my go-to. For the institutions, once you get them unlocked, we always start with a few. I would go for the law enforcement, just to reduce state penalties of turmoil. The health system is a must for standard of living for the lower strata. As soon as you can upgrade that, do it, because you'll get more standard of living basically for free. You just want to keep an eye out on these government types, as well as bolster your intelligentsia. Well, we need 200 authority to do it. I spent all mine on edicts and shit, as well as these consumption taxes, which I can actually remove. I'm going to remove the one on liquor. That'll give me 100 back. And then if we remove a decree on one of these places, we could remove it on, I think, Catalonia, because we haven't even produced the livestock ranches yet. So I think I'll remove it on Catalonia, and that'll give me 200. And then we can use that to bolster our government. The intelligentsia is what we want to bolster, so we can get better ideologies like anti-clerical. Republican is great. Anti-slavery will bolster the intelligentsia so that we can get more people that flock to them. You could also theoretically debolster the landowners, like suppress them, but you actually can't do that for the Catholic Church, but you can do that for them, I think, because they're not a ruling party. That's pretty much the politics. You want to, try to keep Isabella's rule in the contested stage, and then once you get landed voting, it should go to legitimate or maybe even righteous, which will help you get more loyalists. Right now we're doing okay. We only have one problem with wood and a couple minimum standard of livings lower than what our minimum is on these islands. But we're producing a lot. We have some fishing wharves being built in Baleares by the privates, and we actually need more furniture, so we're building furniture factories over here. That does it with the political side. Alright, now we're winning this battle against Morocco, slowly but surely. I love the new additions that they've made for it. It really is cool. It makes me want to slow down and see it. But we're beating Morocco slowly but surely. It's God's will.
God did.
Sure, okay. We do have an illegitimate government now because of our law that we passed. So we may want to try to amend that, but there's a problem. If we do, we'll take a lot of radicals. Not as much as if we remove the intelligentsia, but again, that's her party. So if you take them out, you can't really do much. But the only way you can get a legitimate government is if you add in the Patriotic Union. It's really up to you guys what you want. But I personally am going to try to build the legitimacy back up. But right now you can't really do anything except for, bureaucrat laws, because you just don't have enough support. You're an illegitimate government right now, so you can't really do anything. But we'll wait until the war is over to really do much, because right now we're focusing on kicking the Moroccans' butt. We've lost a lot of guys, though, a lot. We've got a lot of victories, though, but we've lost a lot of men. I don't know why they aren't in the negative yet. I want to take all Morocco. We're going to have to probably conquer it all before they'll actually surrender it. We did really well here. I just love these. I love it. These little animations here. Yeah, we've conquered quite a bit of Morocco so far, so shouldn't be long until we take them, get them to finally capitulate. But it is draining our economy, so we'll have to do it fast. Alright, and now that we've finally taken Morocco from them, we have a lot of turmoil and some devastation to deal with, but we have it. We have Morocco, and we have our border into colonizing. So the next thing we have to do, I did reset my government, and we have a shit ton of Moroccan radicals, as we should deal with, but our rank went up, so now we're back to a great power. I went for the contested government, constitutional monarchy here with the Catholic Church, armed forces, and the landowners. Our intelligentsia is going to go up, so eventually they will be welcomed back in, but for right now, we have to deal with this. But we do have some buffs from the landowners here. Some more influence and some more aristocrats investment pool, which is good. My first law after getting Moroccans is to go for cancel no colonial affairs and go for colonial resettlement, which has a decent success chance. That's pretty good. So as Spain now, I'm going to start colonizing all of these areas and just getting as much as we can, because we can get a lot of resources from the, I mean, it's not great resources, but we do have some gold mines potentially there. And of course, getting down here, we conquer, we'll get opium, and we'll be able to actually have supply of opium in our, I mean, yeah, we do have to technically go across here to get to port, but not too bad. The French didn't like me doing that, so they declared me as a rival. So, but the British, on the other hand, are not having me as a rival, which is good, but they still are pretty poor because they didn't really like me that much. It's okay. We had a minor setback. Now we have a lot of extra cash, so I might reduce my consumption taxes finally on cigars to try to lift it. Oh, and we have a free government reform. Okay, so now we have a righteous government because of our first election. So now our righteous government is going to be even better. We can enact laws even faster, and we have more loyalists from standard of living increases, which will be great. Our armed forces gives us more military research speed. So yeah, now we're going to be doing really well. I actually would like to use some bureaucracy to increase my investment level from 1 to 3. 1 to 3. That way we can get some reduction for turmoil in these states. They aren't incorporated yet, but we are going to incorporate them slowly but surely. Our next port of call is to get colonial resettlement, and then we're going to colonize all of these areas, and that's pretty much what we do. And we also have to work on standard of living, but the reason why it's down so much is because of the war. So now that we're not at war, it's going to go back up. We also reduced our problems to only 1. Great. Oh, small conspiracy. I can't take the risk, even though we'll get more radicals. We can't take the risk. Our Navy needs more man-o-wars, but again, there's a supply chain for that. That'll take some time to get over it. Don't freak out about it. We'll just have to slowly build it back up. But we should look into getting more construction sites now that we have this big bustle of territory. So I'm going to produce more in here and here. Here as well. More construction sectors is going to be good. There we go. The last thing I want to talk about for Spain, before I show you my empire down here that I'm going to create in my endgame scenario too. The last thing I want to show you is their journal. Right now we have paranoid slave owners. We can reduce that. Urbanized Spain, liberalism, but there is also a formable nation as well. You can form Iberia if you're able to take back at least Portugal. If you're able to take Portugal back, then you can reform Iberia. That's probably the only nation you can reform is Spain, but it's not that bad of a nation. It's pretty good. So my strategy for the long game is to create colonies on here, expand out through here, and then eventually get over here to Senegal, take Senegal, maybe even take all of these other areas too, like, you know, Sengu, Yens, Sai, all of these little lower African colonies. If I can reach them before the Dutch do, you're looking at a pretty massive empire for Spain. And this is my end goal for Spain, or at least part of my end goal. So eventually you'll take all of these territories down here and just kind of gobble them up like I did for all of these ones. And eventually you'll have to settle down and try to get your standard of living up and reduce your radicals and all that, which I'm on the rise for. But pretty much Africa is where I go for Spain, because you have an easy access through Morocco, and then all these other ones are just easily colonized, and then eventually you can go down to these smaller African nations and take them, and it's just like free real estate.
So that was my Spain guide. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I do like playing Vicky 3, but sometimes the game just infuriates me to the point where I just want to pull my hair out, because dealing with the standard of living just destroys me, because it'll be doing well and then it'll dip just a couple points and that'll cause it to plummet, and I'm just like, what is happening? I thought I was building stuff, but you know, it's not all about building. Sometimes it's about identity politics and shit. So there's different things that can cause your standard of living to go down, which doesn't make sense to me. But then again, this is 2024, so makes sense, I guess, to them. Anywho, I hope you guys enjoyed my take on Spain. Again, don't take this as a definite way to play Spain. This was just a fun way for me, because, you know, if you play the other way of Spain, like just sitting there, that can be really boring and sorry, I was just getting sleepy thinking about playing that way. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did making it for you. I'm going to try to make more Vicky 3 guides, but just like the Gladius guides, they take a long time to make because I have to go through each different part, so it just takes a minute and I have to find the time to do them, but they are coming, so fret not. And remember, as always, Strat fans, to keep it strategic. Colonel out.